Rudyard Kipling wrote a poem that had very inspirational called "If." If you can meet your triumph and disaster and treat those two impostures just the same, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Well, I had a chance to be inspired by that line when I did my first student internship as a psychologist. Working on my degree to become a psychologist, I had to do an internship at an adult daycare center called Cardinal House. Now, in this center, the clients were mentally, emotionally, and even physically challenged. I was so excited to have this experience with real people other than just books and learning. I was going to get to be powerful and help people's lives. Well, the day of my first day, I enter the front door and I look around the drabby, dingy, depressive environment, and the clients were looking so bored, and they weren't even talking. They weren't playing cards. They weren't doing puzzles. They just looked depressed and bored. Out in the garage, the men gathered out there. And when I went to see them, they weren't talking either. And they were sitting at a table, looking bored, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and eating sugar. I wanted to go out the back door because it was like, what can I do? I don't think talk therapy is going to be appropriate or group therapy. I've got to come up with an idea because I'm going to be here 5 hours every day, 5 days a week for a whole semester. And I really didn't want to be there for 2 minutes. But I thought, surely there's something I can do to help all of us. And I came up with an idea. I went to the head social worker and I asked her if I could get the clients to maybe brighten up the environment, work as a group, maybe do some painting, and everybody get excited about what they were doing. She said that would cost money and we don't have any. So I had to think of something else. And I said, well, let me go out in the community and get donations. And she said, nobody in this community will give us anything. Now I was getting desperate. And I thought of something else. And I said, well, let me take Tom. He was one of the clients who suffered from autism and ADHD. Let me take him with me. And maybe that would make a difference. And she gave in. She said, go ahead and try it. I had energy and hope. And the next day when I was walking to the house, I saw Tom on the front porch. He was smiling, he had some energy, and he was ready to go. So I got a skip in my step. We got in the car and we went to the first paint store. I was going to do the talking and I was sure that Tom would close the sale. That's what happened. We were able to have any of the paint we wanted, all of the brushes we could take, anything we could carry, paint sticks. And so we gathered up our treasures, put them in the car, and went to the next store. That was the store that had the wallpaper. We walked in, I did the talking, Tom made the clothes. They took us to a room, and I think it was rejected wallpaper, but it was pretty. They said, you can take whatever you want. We kept getting more energy, more excited, took all we could carry, and on the way back to Cardinal Day House, now the clients were coming out on the porch, looking out the window. They had some smiles, curiosity. It's like, who's giving us this stuff and what are we going to do with it? And I'm like, we're going to work together and we're going to have the prettiest environment you've ever seen. So first, we take the paint out into the garage where the men were. And they quickly started taking the top off the paint. I just enjoyed watching them so much. Particularly, they didn't have a ladder. And one of the clients stood up on a table while the other men would dip the paint in and hand the brush to him. And you can imagine this garage had spots all over it, and when the bright white paint started covering it up, there was a much more light rather than dark atmosphere. There was much more positive energy than negative. When I went back into the living room to see what the women were doing, they were starting to talk. And I thought, I don't even have to suggest what they do. They started saying, let's take down the drapes and wash them and rehang them. Another lady was saying, have you ever seen this orange shag carpet back in the day with the spots on it? They said, let's pull that up and see what's underneath. And it was a nice looking wood floor. And then Tom, he got a razor blade and he started chipping off black paint from a black fireplace, metal. And as he chipped off the paint, the fireplace turned white. He worked for days and hours with a focus you wouldn't believe until every bit of paint came off of that. A schizophrenic lady who had burned her hair, I thought, I don't know what she'll be able to do. Well, she decided what to do. She became the encourager. She went in and out the room saying, you're doing such a great job. She would call names and encourage these people to keep going. To my surprise, she turned to encourage me. She said, I bet you're getting an A++ for this project. And I thought, I bet I am too. But here's what happened. There was an undergraduate male that came he collected a paycheck by babysitting these adults. He found out who my professor was, went to him, and said negative things about me. He said I had caused chaos in the home. To me, I thought I had caused joy and excitement, but to him, it was chaos. Next thing I know, I go into my professor's office, and he says, Ann, you're either going to have to do another internship immediately because you're going to be on probation for this one. I couldn't talk. I was like, I thought he was going to brag on me, and he's saying he's kicking me out of school. Well, I went numb because I thought this was my dream. It was crushed, all the studying, all the money, and now I didn't even have a chance. But I was going to do that second internship. That night I went home. You might be familiar with having just a rush of negative feelings like embarrassment, guilt, shame. What did I do wrong? I can't show my face again. On and on it went. I felt unfair, cheated, victim, on and on. I couldn't stop the thoughts. But then something happened. My brain switched to a different channel. And I said to myself, well, maybe I need to be stopped here. Maybe the universe is saying, you don't want to become a psychologist, deal with all those lives and mess them up. And I was like, you're right. I'm okay. However it goes, I'm okay with it. I did my second internship. It was very successful. The doctor that I worked for wrote out a very good evaluation saying that I was one of his best students. I couldn't wait to get back to see my professor. He called me in and he went, well, Ann, it's nothing I didn't expect. And I thought, sure. But I was just happy. I was happy. And since then, I've had a private practice for 40 years. I look forward to every single client. And a lot of people say this job is depressing. It's anything but that for me. So then I think back to Kipling, who said, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostures just the same, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son, a woman, my son, too. Thank you.